daily from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on channel 480 and 124 on Startimes. Yes, there is news on your device, but hearing an analyst's perspective is the icing on the cake that Daybreak Africa provides. Break. Start your day with prompt analysis of the latest news, trends,
Exactly, and then you see these people, they're so agile, they can do
politics.
We have to go back to that regional system. That is the foundation of this country, for God's sake.
Entertainment, fashion, culinary skills.
So first I'm going to be pouring the oil inside the pot.
Religious and cultural events amongst others on Daybreak Africa. For a rich mix of analysis on current issues, tune in daily from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on channel 480 and 124 on Startimes.
Welcome to Joy Asonye Live this beautiful evening. As fuel subsidy removal continues to reflect in the harsh realities that Nigerians are facing, Nigerians are asking what's happening to the cabinet that was promised us. It seems like all the policies that was promised is waiting for this cabinet. But what's happening? The president had promised that when he assumes office, he will hit the ground running. But he seemed to have hit the ground. Is a race Nigerians are waiting to see, especially because this has affected all facets of the Nigerian economy. We saw earlier today with a report released by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics that the inflation rate has gotten to about 26.08%. Food inflation. How are Nigerians who statistics earlier had shown that over 133 multidimensionally poor people exist here. How can they survive all of this? Well, we'll be discussing this with Comrade Duke Alamboye, a regular here. He's the President Green Assembly Initiative and the former National Secretary of the Nigerian Youth Organization. I think I should take that out now. Don't you think so? Welcome to the studios, though.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having me once more.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't need to take it off. That's
who you used to be. I get up before. It's not. It's no longer property, is it? Is there something you brag about?
Of course.
I just wanted to put in on the spot like that. I just saw your face right now. But let's go to the president at the moment. Nigerians are waiting patiently. What is going on? It took him so long to even submit those names. It was at the nick of time. The 59th day was when he submitted the list to the Senate. And after that, what is going on? The confirmations have come. Swear them in. Let's have the country working. Do you think it's slow?
Well, with the happenings in the country, one would perceive that the pace needs to be beefed up. People are worried about so many issues, and everything is tied up to execution. The ministers should come on board and let's start having our productivity of government, the promises of government should be, begin to be shunning them out. And this is where we are. But if you look at it at the other side again, one would also have a school of thought to say that perhaps the presidency are taking their time to ensure that they put round pegs in round holes. Of course, it's easy to say they've screened every nominee, and it's time to put them in their right positions to work. So don't also forget that this is also followed by lots of lobbies and lots of personal interest playing out presently. So the president needs to take his time to do the needful so that tomorrow we don't complain, we don't see ministers that are dormant, that don't know what they're doing. So we're going to have at least 48 ministries wherein all the ministers will have a portfolio. So it's not an easy one to go by. But again, I want to appeal with Nigerians to be a little bit patient, even though we are very aware that it took time for even the nomination to come out. After the nomination, was the presidency not aware? That
why do you think it took so much time?
Yeah, it took time. I can say, I always put it in three perspectives. One is party influence, party interference. Two, the ability for the president to satisfy every Tom, Dick and Harry that have supported him during elections. If you look at the tactics at which Tinubu won his election, even though still contested in the tribunal, I got about 12,000 votes. He didn't concentrate on his party alone. Some other political parties joined forces for him to emerge. That is one thing. So the ability to also satisfy those other political divide was also an issue. And then thirdly, he was faced with this removal of subsidy. So it took his attention, it distracted him to actually put himself together to see how he can bring out names for nominations for screening.
Oh, really? Because a lot of us, when we saw the list eventually come out, there were the same old names that a lot of people had already earmarked.
Like I told you, you can't take politics away. When it says same old, so people kept saying they need technocrats to come out. Who are technocrats? Do you think technocrats fall from heaven after politicians have dwelled for so many months, gone through the process of politicking, and then when it is time to be ministers or appointment, you say they should go and bring technocrats from the moon? The people that are playing politics are not technocrats. They are lawyers there, they are doctors there, they are accountants there, they are professionals in their various fields. So if you want to be part of politics, please join politics, and when your party gains, you bring out your technocrats activism to play, to say, look, I'm a lawyer, so I'm supposed to be the minister of justice or whatever you want to call it. So I don't subscribe to that when they say same old, but these are the same old people that stood by him or by the party to win elections. So
but that's not
where do you want them to go and manufacture? Look, I kept telling people that our politicians will say all manner of things to win the elections. We should be diligent enough to look at what their antecedents are. I agree with you that there was high expectation that the ministerial list will bring on board new, fresh hands that would deliver. I don't want to call them technocrats, to call them, because even politicians are technocrats. So I was expecting some very fresh hands that will come on board and then do the needful. But if you look at the list again too, we still have some fresh hands that have come from state level down to the national level. Is former accountant general, Lagos State Accountant General, who is fantastically doing very well. The likes of, you look at the party, even at party divide, Governors Forum, it took only 5. So I think I'm not really going to fault his list. But where I'm concerned, where the vast majority of Nigerians are concerned, is his inability till today. This is after about going to a month now after the confirmation, or 3 weeks or so. They've not been able to issue out cabinets to those ministers. So it gives worry to the Nigerian economy. It gives worry to Nigerian people, and so many questions are being asked in so many quarters. Why have they not been given portfolio? But I can tell you two things in my mind that I have earlier explained. Either the presidency is taking this time to see how we can fix in round pegs and round holes, or there are so many lobbies and distractions going on at the time that he's not been able to give what position is supposed to be given, what ministry is supposed to be given. So I think these are the worries, and it's not good for us, because so many things that ought to be done, that the permanent secretaries of ministries have their limitations, and also until when the ministers are on board, we can begin to see the aspirations, all the promises that they told Nigerians during their campaign will begin to manifest. So I think it is not good for the nation. We expect that they put up small, like you rightly said, he said it will hit the ground rolling. He has hit the ground, but we have not seen him even trek. So I think trekking.
But were you also surprised? Were you also surprised when you saw about 48 names in all? And I'm also I mean, there are the agitations, or rather talks, that the Southeast did not get enough. The Southeast just got about five names on the list, and the Southeast should be increased. And Nigerians are saying 48 is a little too many. Are you part of those Nigerians, or you believe that this is the way?
Yes, we're looking at one of the things that is bedeviling, that is worrying this administration, truth to be told, is funding. I think the country is lacking funds to execute governance. So
in spite of the fuel subsidy removal?
So the fuel subsidy removal is only helping. If they were at 80% of zero funding, internal funding, I think the fuel subsidy is just making them feel that they have fund with them. That's what is happening. After all, previous government borrowed money to sort out fuel subsidy payment. So we are still in the same circle. That's what is happening. So I think for the now that we do not have enough funds to even cater for the economy, the disposition to bring out or to feature almost 48 or so ministerial appointments, one is wondering what are they coming to do, and wouldn't that rise the cost for governance in the country again? So these are the bodies. So in my own opinion, I think it was not necessary. We want to see the portfolios. We want to see the portfolios and see if they are not really duplicated again. So we felt that the president would concise the ministries and see how they can stage manage, at least for the 4 years, see how they can manage their money. And then for every position today, people want to gain. And I think it's born out of the fact that it needed so many political juggernauts and elites.
So a lot of promises were made.
Yes, a lot of promises were made, and the ability to compensate them. Yes, so the only first way, of course, immediately after you leave the cadre of the presidency, the vice presidency, secretary to the full government is personal, what they call, and then the legislation appointments. The next level you come to is ministerial appointments. So people that have supported heavily would be expecting anywhere that does not fall in line within the cycle of attending fake meetings, sitting in fake meetings, will feel spited as though he has not been successfully compensated. But I also know that there's a strategy the presidency would have used. Give 2 years to people to perform, and the ones that have not performed to the aspirations and wills of your deliverables, you remove, or you go to contractual. Look, we are many, so these people will come on board for 2 years or 3 years. These people will come and finish with me while we go to the. After all, everybody did 8 years. We anticipate that if they did do well, Tinubu might go for the next 8 years. So these are the bargains I thought they will have to give.
You never know if that bargain is on the desk. But the APC government, if we follow the precedent of the past administration, it's like we might not see a hiring and a firing, or in case this cabinet member is not following.
It's not per se. It's not firing, but per se. It's look, we have a lot at hand.
No, I'm not even talking about letting go. I'm not even talking about letting go now. I'm saying if we are following the precedent that the past administration has set, it seems like the Buhari administration didn't really fire nobody in 8 years. We saw ministers that worked all through the 8 years.
I don't think the present president would want that kind of.
So it is not an APC.
Static. It's not an APC. It's the docile nature of the President Muhammad Buhari administration.
Wow.
So I don't think President Tinubu will have such characteristics. He's a man that knows when a sector is not developing. He tries to see where and why it is not developing. I would do the needful. I'm not seeing him so docile to say, okay, they should continue in that way. But except that all the ministers are performing, then one will say, okay, well, there's no need to fault anyone. But for the transition, for the purpose of carrying everybody along, I'm not seeing ministers serving in the next tenure. I'm seeing that change we'll all expect. And if he is not concentrating on performance, I'm sure Nigerians will show him the way out when it comes to the next election.
That's in 4 years.
Yes, in 4 years. So he has to be very cautious of that. And that's why I'm believing that the delay we are having today in giving them cabinet is due to the fact that he wants to ensure that the right people are placed there at the right position. So that
is that the same thing that happened when the last administration took their time? They took as much as 6 months.
The past administration, yes, the past administration only came into power because there was an amalgamation, and people were tired and fed up of the PDP administration. So the inevitable became what they call what we see became inevitable for us to produce, and that's how APC came to power. Not as if they really formed themselves to come to rule. So it was by chance that Mohamed Buhari won the election because of the tiredness and from the people felt at the time with the PDP. So that's why you saw that they were not prepared. So I think this time around they are more formed, they are more informed, they are more stable. Even though we are still seeing some from the party angle, we are still seeing some rift here and there. But we want to believe that the president should know what he's doing and do it right for Nigerians.
In spite of having about 47 ministerial nominees, we're still hearing some parts of the country asking for more. Do you think this is a bad one? This is the highest we've had, the largest cabinet in Nigeria's history, and yet we're still hearing calls for more. You did not factors in well. Ogun State had 3, the Southeast has less, and all those kind of statements. If you were president, I know there are some people who some positions might feel demeaning. If you were president, how would you manage this so that nobody feels spited, compensations indeed go round?
There's a stipulated number of ministers that it shouldn't exceed constitutionally. So that is the first consideration. If I were the president, I would have. I can't go more than this. Then secondly, human wants are insatiable. Joy, you cannot satisfy everybody, and there is no way a president that is from the western part of the country will sit down and distribute ministerial appointments looking at 36 states into 48. It means that we're still having about 10 extra. So the ability to evenly distribute those 10, of course, is not possible. So you will have some states gain more and some states gain less. And wherein after 36 or 37, including the FCT, 37 has collected, 9 will be remaining. So I'm sure in his thoughts, party will take some, external supporters will take some, and that is where you see that this will still be drawn from specific states. There are party leaders, of course, that it will also say, take your own, give us a nomination. So those persons will still come from state. But for the presidency, for the first consideration, the 36 and 1 of the FCT will be first of all considered, where they will pick 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 37. If you take that from 48 or so, it's been 10 or so. So they begin to say, okay, party take this, supporters take this, leadership take this. Those persons that will still be nominated to form the cabinet will still come from states. So this is where you begin to see the region that plays the predominant role in delivering the president will begin to say,
oh really?
Yes, they are compensatory. Look, that is politics. If in the north or in the south, for instance, all the 6 southern states delivered in the election, when there's extra appointment to be made or selection to be made, the south people will use that strength to negotiate. It's okay, we're having 10 or 11 more, give us 2. Why? Because we delivered all, we deserve it. With our little strength, we deliver. So if you attract more appointment to the region, we'll do better and best for the region. So vis-a-vis, it goes round like that. So if the southeast in the APC did not put in their much weight to deliver the president, the same thing will play when it comes to benefiting from those appointments. So I think these are the little arithmetics and concerns that goes around it that makes it look like in the southwest we have more ministerial appointment. And of course, don't forget that the president is a human being. He would have been also imposing for himself 3 to 4 nominees. Okay, having shared this, what are you giving to the president? The president is taking 3 nominations. He will not look to the north. He will not look to the south east. He will definitely look to his immediate environment. That's what I want to say. His immediate environment, which means even people around him, his personal aides, that is this is okay. Go for this today because of trust and confidence.
So what happened to his insistence before immediately he emerged president, that it was going to be a cabinet packed with politics of national competence, not of unity.
So also President Joy, presently the people the people that have been paraded or that have been presented to the National Assembly, how do you define them? Are you saying that they are not of competence or capability? They all have capacity.
I'm just saying that the condition for their emergence was not based on.
And then if you look at it, this is also the first time, or one of the first times, we're also having widespread ministerial lists around the country. At least there is no state that would today say they don't have ministerial appointments.
Has there ever been a state that did not have ministerial appointment? But what I was saying was that the consideration
the issue will come again, because the issue will come again when I know that somebody has accused this government so quickly that if you look at the juicy positions, it's like the western Nigerians almost taking all the juicy positions. The president is deliberately giving out all juicy positions to the south.
So far, juicy positions where?
I don't know. I said someone did that insinuation, but it will play again. Let us see. There are at least big and more lucrative ministries than the other. But I also think that for my ministry to be lucrative, it depends on what I have to give.
Exactly. I was going to ask that. Are they really juicy?
Juicy, this thing. So the Minister of Finance in this country, I think, is the most worrisome ministry. The Ministry of Finance today.
What do you mean by worrisome?
What I mean is that the person has to do a lot for the nation, because that is where you control expenditure and income. So when they give somebody Minister of Finance, you think, oh wow, the work is also there. You give somebody Ministry of Works and Housing, man, that is a crush in the economy. So we need to see visibility in that ministry. During what's his name? The past governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Ameshi's tenure, people were concerned. People knew that there was real introduction in the country. They were revamping the rail system.
Even though they didn't give credit to that administration.
They were doing lots. I think the only credit the one will give to that administration is attributed to what Rotimi Ameshi did in the past. We cannot take that away from him. He was one of the finest ministers at the time that the Muhammad Buhari's administration existed. So I think there's no juicy before Amechi came to Minister of Transport. Nobody would have said they want to, it was not attractive. So he went in there and made it attractive. The Minister of Aviation, when the likes of Issa Yuguda, those people were handling that ministry, they made it a viable ministry. Everybody knew that aircraft, new companies can come in to fly Nigeria. You know, they brought in more technology and improved technology and more companies to participate in our airspace. So I think it depends on what you as a person deliver. So I'm still thinking and being convincing myself that the president is slow in this process because he intends to fix them properly, considering their capacity and their capability, so that no minister goes to be dormant. Let me give you a closer example again. My friend who forgot me for the past 8 years, Festus Kayamo, his talent was hidden. The first time they put him at one other ministry, removed him, took him to labor and productivity. Those ministries are not where it will function. Look at his antecedents. It looks like somebody that should be Minister of Youth, somebody that should be Minister of Justice. So these are professionally is a lawyer, Minister of Information. You look at his eloquence, is well informed. So you take somebody like Festus Keyamo to put him in Ministry of Productivity, where he served with Ngige. We never heard him say anything.
And speaking about Festus Keyamo, he also, I remember, shortly after his party won, he also talked about and really criticized the whole concept of junior minister. And Nigerians are asking, did he do that because he had the foresight to know that this administration may consider him for a ministerial position again, and he's just telling you beforehand that, please, should you consider me for this, do not attempt the junior ministry. But we have to go for a short break right now. This is still Joy Asonye Live. We're talking about Nigeria's economy and Tinubu's cabinet. How can we marry it, and where can we, how can we urge or nudge this government to start working so that the harrowing effect of removal of fuel subsidy can be effected? We'll be right back after this short break.
Yes, there is news on your device, but hearing an analyst's perspective is the icing on the cake that Daybreak Africa provides. Break. Start your day with prompt analysis of the latest news, trends,
Exactly, and then you see these people, they're so agile, they can do it.
politics,
We have to go back to that regional system. That is the foundation of this country, for God's sake.
entertainment, fashion, culinary skills,
So first, I'm going to be pouring the oil inside because I will
religious and cultural events, amongst others, on Daybreak Africa. For a rich mix of analysis on current issues, tune in daily from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on channel 480 and 124 on Startimes.
Welcome back from that short break. We have, or rather still have, Comrade Duke Alamboye here with us, the President Green Assembly Initiative. He's also the former, I don't know why it's heavy in my mouth to still say that, the former National Secretary of the Nigerian Youth Organization. It's good to have you.
Okay.
We've been discussing the Nigerian economy and the President's cabinet and how one is waiting for the other to have that race.
Well,
Former Secretary.
I'm also, without advertising, I'm also contesting for the president of the organization. So
and
you
you're
can
not going to
address
use
me
my
as
platform.
you're
not using my platform to advertise.
So you can address
or campaign.
You can address
so
me as the incoming.
no, I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
So anyway, I was talking about my brother and friend, former friend rather, Festus Kiamo.
Why do I have a feeling you want us to get into the reason why you're former friends? Is that something you would like to share?
No, I don't need
Did
to.
he emerge junior minister and abandoned you, like a lot of you people like to accuse?
I was also distant from him. I needed him to concentrate and do the job, so I'm not really complaining. But you know, we shared relationship that I thought, of course, he had higher responsibility, and in 8 years he was busy. Let me stop it at that. So what I'm saying is that yes, he has been worried about the issue of junior minister, and actually there is no junior minister. What we have is Minister of State. There is no junior minister. The Constitution has spelled out various responsibilities. They are helping hands where the minister is attending to national issues. There are issues that connects the federal government and the state. So that's the duties of the Minister of State, to connect those activities. So it is, for every ministry, it is spelled out. Their functions are spelled out. It's just our doings, the Nigerian concept, that makes it seem like when you say Minister of State, you are a less minister. It's not true. You're not a less minister. You have your activities to perform. However, like a suffragan minister, you have to see the major minister to ensure the minister of the ministry, to ensure that you collaborate with him. While the main minister does not come to you, it makes sure that he has approval. But both of you own the ministry together,
so to speak.
Yeah, but I had the opportunity to be close. I have an opportunity to get close to the Minister of Transport at the time, Erotimi, was there. When Bemishola was the Minister of State. They were cordial, and because she was somebody that knows, wants to perform her duties. So there was no time she was inferior in the ministry. You understand? So I also know that there are some ministries that this Minister of State thing doesn't work. A ministry like the one he served, Minister of Productivity and it doesn't work there. What was it necessarily going to do? So he was always dormant or doing duties that were related to him by the minister at the time. So he was not a voice and all of that. If you saw when Yosen Wike was Junior Minister of State for Education, he knows his onion. So he was almost bringing up the ministry even better than the then minister. Okay. Who is served with.
Do you think President Tinubu would consider this Minister of State and main minister, or however it is put, especially because we have 47 confirmed or rather minister designate at the moment, and they had already promised, the chief of staff to the president had also promised that ministries will be unbundled. Remember that we have about 28 ministries at the moment. So do you think the president will toe that line of junior ministers and all that?
I will not be talking for the president for now, but in my own thoughts, yes, we'll have new ministry that might come out. That is sure, I'm thinking. Then we'll still have some ministries that will have the junior ministers. A ministry like Works and Housing, I think it should be unbundled. We should have ministry for works, we should have ministry for housing, so that these two persons will do the separate jobs. If you look at Fashola, he almost died out of that ministry. Fashola that performed very well in Lagos came to the national level and drowned like I cannot compare. The Ministry of Youth and Sports, we need that ministry to be unbundled too.
Right.
The youth ministry have a whole lot of work to do. The sports ministry have its own work to do. There are two different ministries, although catering for people in the same constituency called youth, however, but the Ministry of Youth should stand on its own. The Ministry of Sports should stand on its own. Most of the times, in time past since the birth of democracy in our country, the Ministry of Youth and Sports is used for sporting activities. That's what the ministers come to do. Apart from that, I want to still give it to him, that concentrated in youth development, internal youth development. And again, I want to think that was because of the COVID. There was no football matches, there were no travelings and all of that. So he had no choice than to engage in meaningful activities. With the help of one of his essays, we need to look for Kemi and really thank her for the lots of things she did at the time. So those ministries should be divided. Ministry of Transport, which will have the aviation of it, and let the Ministry of Transport be on its own. Even the transport itself, which will have Ministry of Road Infrastructure and Ministry of because when you say transport, who provides vehicles? The Ministry of Transportation does not care about government vehicles that ply interstate. We used to have them. Government vehicles that ply internal state. These are functions of government, federal government.
From the federal? I mean, I know
we used to
but
have
I've never heard
state
of
government, yes, federal government, yes, transit from state to interstate. At the time I was in the southwest part of Nigeria, and I saw all of this. You have transit government vehicle, federal government vehicle, traveling the whole coast. Lagos, Enugu, Badon to like that. They were moving, and this created lots of income, jobs for the country. It boosts the economic time of the East. They were so vibrant. So I also want to think that the Ministry of Transportation should shift away from aviation and let us have the Ministry of Transport. If they want to also look critical, the Ministry of Transport should also, we have sea and the Ministry of Transport does not concern about sea. Meanwhile, we have coastal areas in the country. So I think if we have to justify 47 and we do not see these clear lines, then the president has only still landed. He has not run. He's not hit the ground. He has only hit the ground. So, but I'm sure that these are the areas they are looking at, and if this happens, and then they're able to curtail the level of expenditure for governance, they will concentrate and do more.
Okay, let's talk about the screening.
Tinubu's antecedents, only antecedent that everybody look at is how he developed Lagos. And look, true to be told again, when it came to Lagos, even the Minister of the Justice, they should remove the Attorney General from the minister. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with that. So that the Attorney General has his own role he plays.
Minister of Justice.
The Minister of Justice has his own role. He plays.
You don't believe it to be
it's disturbing. You see, they are dragging Malami to court. They are dragging him to abroad. At the time he's supposed to be in the court, he's abroad. So because he's the Attorney General and because he was Minister of Justice. So I think those two ministries should also be distinct so that their functionalities will not, one person will not be, they drag their directors here and there. Sometimes they're not even informed because they've concentrated on one side of the ministry too long. If the government body language is towards the attorney, that minister concentrate there and do only that job, leave the justice aspect of the job. Do you understand? So you see good judges are not changed, judges are not transferred, no enumeration, no good, you understand? And that is because the minister is busy with the duties of attorney. So these are the ministries, few ministries I can remember now on the year that I think that they should have that distinct.
So a lot of people had said that this president should, or rather the Senate should have attached portfolio from the word go. The president should have attached portfolios from the word go so that when these nominees came to the Senate, questions will be targeted. So now a lot of sieving is being done. Another route of lobbying is going on.
Joy, I think that is why the Constitution provided 60 good days. If I'm contesting election today, we have campaign directors, we have this, we have so many people coming from different strata. During the campaign alone, down to winning election, it is true that you would have even known who is good for what at a time. Now, it is very enough. 60 days is 2 months, if I'm not mistaken, approximately 2 months. So, it's good enough to have selected nominees based on intellect, capability, ability. So, if I sit down to say I need to appoint 12 ministers for screening, I look at the ministries I want more viable. I look at the ministries that will promulgate or promote my promises for delivering democracy. When I consider those two things, it will not be parallel for me to say A can be fit for this, so I've nominated you with your portfolio. B can be fit for this, and then that is the best way to guide the legislature, the Senate, on where to go. So this is lacking. They've used 60 days for only nomination. We are going into another 1 full month, 30 days again, for just
confirmation, yes. Screening and confirmation.
No, confirmation and screening is done. They did very well. The speed was intact there. It has come back to the executive again
to allot
portfolios. Now it's taking another 30 days. So if when they've done those things simultaneously, look, as Wike is going, Minister of Finance or Minister of this, the executive, the legislation, the Senate will drill him on economic values. They will drill him on finance. They will drill him seriously on, even though we saw some of them, because technocrats came in on board, there's one that came. You will know that this one is just going to be the Minister of Finance or the Accountant General of the Federation, because of his expertise. No question went any other way except on finance. So you know that this one is going for, it might emerge as the Accountant General of the Federation. That one is not a minister of Accountant General. Okay, I think there are two again. So I think what I'm saying is that
we've also seen the presidents go back and forth with Alaki, for instance, who was initially nominated, or rather appointed as something else. But let's talk about the fact that the Nigerian economy seems at the moment to be dwindling. What would you say that should be done, even if portfolios are not going to be attached to everyone? If the president asks you the 5-10 that he should just attach and let work begin, which would you pick?
The 5 what?
The first 10, or the 10
first 10 ministers.
to say let work begin. Because
the first person I will pick is Wike to come on board. These are proactive personalities, and then first is Kemo. The country needs lots. The country needs someone that could be addressing them, you know, positively, in a positive light. We need somebody that will project Nigeria in a positive light. I'm not seeing Festus Kemo going into judicial sector, not Attorney General, not.
So where do you think the likes of Festus will thrive?
It will thrive more in talking, this information. We want to see somebody that will project this country. The only Dora Kelly has succeeded in doing that. I don't know. I don't know who the Minister of Information was during.
Did you follow this, your friend Festus Keyamo, during the campaigns?
Yeah.
Did you follow his speeches?
No, it was always a rude person, and that was because of the level of attack. The people connecting with him, it was a competition, and they were rude to their discretions. But it is different when he's in the Ministry of Information, where he knows that he is saddled with, you know, the constitutional activities around him, and secondly, the oversight function of projecting Nigeria in a better light. Only Dora Akinwale has succeeded in doing that for Nigeria. In Nigeria, during Muhammad Buhari's administration, I don't think there was Minister of Information. I can't figure it out who was, but
the Minister of Information.
Was any?
Yes, we had a Minister of Information.
I don't know, but I thought there was.
Who do you think Lai Muhammad was?
PDP Publicity Secretary, sorry, APC Publicity Secretary.
Okay, now you're being mischievous. Just go ahead.
So I want to see somebody like him there. Then this other man that came up, of course, the APC woman leader, of course, you know, it can better you do for the women affairs. Then what's his name? The man that came for finance. That's his former finance. One professor is a Yoruba man too. To be on board, I think. Who again?
Okay, let's not mention names. What ministries would you want to start working immediately?
The Ministry of Information.
Information?
Yes, Ministry of Information. Lots of orientation needs to be done. Ministry of Information. Ministry of Niger Delta.
Niger Delta.
Ministry of Petroleum. Seriously, we need a strong minister that can stand. They should not attach it to the presidency again. It is not making that ministry viable and strong enough for the country, like the ministry that carries the country's fortune. So we need the minister there that will sort out all these issues. Then, Minister of Interior. The insecurity level is too much. We need a Minister of Interior that understands the security architecture of this country to connect those people responsible. Ministry of Transportation.
There I agree.
Ministry of Transportation. Then I think I don't want to talk about housing.
Agriculture.
Ministry of Agriculture. Let's see if this government is willing to diversify what I call single economy this thing to two. Let's see if they can balance it. And that is if the tribunal is anytime I talk about this government, my mind goes back to the tribunal, so which is a touchlight for everybody in the country. So, but if they will stay, or if God will bless this nation, that there is peace and this government is declared the true winners of this election, the Ministry of Agriculture, we really need to diversify. We really need to the International Youth Day emphasize on green skills, and these things can come from agricultural. When a minister that understands agriculture comes into play. The Ministry of what they call it, this one that used to fight with NLC is which ministry?
Labor.
Labor.
Right.
Labor. Someone that understands the working of the people, working population. What are their benefits? What are their duties? So that it fixes things right. Yeah, there's synergy, right? So I think these are the few ministries. I don't want to talk about housing, and those ones are housing and works. Works, of course, for our roads. Our roads are getting dilapidated and worrisome. So, Minister of Works, that housing is what I really don't. I don't know what is going on in the Minister of Housing, but I think Minister of Works.
And I'm surprised you didn't mention power.
Power, to a larger extent, is being solved. What power needs now is to still implement what is on ground. The Minister of Power tried very well. I think in the country now there is nowhere. I don't think there are so many places that a day they don't have light. So what is the only thing that is remaining there is to implement those ready, you understand, activities, implement them properly. So they are not faced with much issues. Bring more technology to empower power. That is all. But these other ministries, a lot needs to be done. The ministers that have left that place didn't do so strongly. So therefore we need, and those are the carriers of the economy. But once those people are strong and there's strong synergies within that ministry, you will see and then of course our constituency, the Ministry of Youth, so that we can now know where to place. Every ministry does employment. The Minister of Youth should be able to connect with all the ministries to ensure that they don't do employment on their own, they centralize it to the ministry.
Are we still talking about employment for government employing? Why are we not talking about empowering these young people to employ?
When I say employment here is a contest. I'm not saying go to work, provide work. It's also employment. It's also employment. So, or employability. You know, the Minister of Youth should be employable and to be able to employ, and also how would I call it?
Position Nigerians
to employ. So that's what I mean. So you don't go and put a minister there because he played football. Give him the Ministry of Sports. Put a minister there because he understands that the youth are the future of the nation and that they are supposed to have some level of productive youth. So once we have lots of productive youth in the country, it will help the economy. It will make so many things independent. The pressure on government will be less. Government will just be saddled with the responsibility of providing enabling grants, loans, facilities, infrastructures, and
okay, before I let you go, because we're really running out of time, the president had made several promises and several talks. I know he declared the food he declared emergency, state of emergency rather, on food insecurity. He also made several promises for MSMEs, nano businesses. He made for agriculture and all of that. So what do you think?
Those are political statements.
Do Nigerians still trust him? Because not much is being done. Fertilizers that are supposed to go to farmers have not been done.
They are political statements. The country presently now is faced with financial issues, insecurity issues, naira devaluation issues. So you are going the
Oshomole way when Oshomole
so it cannot work. It's not true that
Nigeria does not have the much money that we expect.
It's not true that they can do all of that, Joy. It's not true.
In spite of the fuel subsidy removal.
It is not true. The fuel subsidy removal is only keeping small money in the hands of government. It's not making Nigeria economy surplus.
Right.
That is the truth. So
how can we boost productivity then in a short while, just in about 2 minutes? Can you tell us how?
Very simple. Train, go into the green skills. Train people to be self-sufficient. That is all. That is all. So that when you've done that, when you're borrowing, you know you're borrowing for productivity. What is happening in our country? They borrow for consumption. They borrow in the name of infrastructure that does not end. When you train your working population strong, you borrow for productivity. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So that is all. And you have a balance. You are receiving, entirely generated revenue will be coming a little bit. You're having less to borrow to add. What is happening is that everybody is consuming. They borrow. And when they borrow, they put to consumption. Even when they try to what they call infrastructure, provide infrastructure, it goes in and melt off because the infrastructure decay is even too large. It's supposed to be like the way they do to Lagos. This is 16 years. They are still building Lagos. Every day, Lagos is getting brighter. They are doing that side by side, providing education standard. They are doing that side by side, providing for their youth. Everybody in Lagos is busy. The only city can go and you will not suffer. You have, if you are a middle class person, you have where to stay. If you are a low class income earner, you have where to stay and work. So this is what we want people to look Nigeria as and develop the country. Train the youths on green skills, on self-sufficiency, then fund them. They boost the economy.
Okay. Comrade Duke Alamboye, President, Green Assembly Initiative, thank you for being part of the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, this is where we'll draw the curtains on Joy Asonye Live. Rest assured we'll be back tomorrow with so much more. Do have a wonderful evening.